Here's hoping. Here is hoping. Okay, nothing showing up there. Anyone here? Nope. Oh no. Ooh. That looks promising. Hey! Someone sees me. Okay. Oh, cool. There's people in the chat. Excellent. All right. Can everyone hear me? What's the quality like? Bear in mind that I'm recording on a webcam, so it's not going to be wonderful. And also, let me get this to the Patreon page as well, so people can come. Bear with me, folks. All right. You can live stream directly in Patreon. Great. Cool. I wish I noticed that earlier. Just went live. Here's the link. Yeah, the link. Patrons only. Publish now. Okay. Quality is a little potato, but that's fine. Yeah, we're going for full PewDiePie quality here. Yeah. One day I'll figure out how to get my DSLR to do this, and then the quality should look an awful lot better. But for now, we're kind of stuck with this for the inaugural one. Now, one last check on my part. I need to see whether or not regular viewers can see this, because I'm worried that they might, and I don't particularly want that. Nope. I think we're good. Okay. All right. Cool. Everyone happy? Let me know in chat. If so, sure, I'll start in with this into like some rules that I want to run over first, and then like what these things are going to be going forward, and then maybe get some suggestions off you guys for like what I might do with this, if that all sounds good. So let me know if you're good to go. Cue dead air. Oh, also, I should lose my live stream chat virginity here. Hello. Woo! It's exciting time, folks. Okay, so yeah, so rules. A little bit of rules first. Just in terms of like chat and like people chatting and things like that. Like with the Discord, try and keep things apolitical, because it just causes fights and it's no good. I should not be watching probably, but I'm not a patron as of now. Excellent. How did you get here? See, this is the problem with the YouTube thing. It's like you have private, unlisted, and public, right? I'm not entirely sure unlisted things work, because I often have unlisted videos on my channel for like Patreon early release, and people see them anyways. And it's you got from Discord. How did I post a thing in the? How did you get on Discord from? Jacob, you're. Oh. Yeah, but you see, even to be in general, you need to be a patron. Does Patreon, if you don't become a patron, does Patreon not kick you? If you stop patronizing someone, does Patreon not kick you from Discord? Well, look, Jacob, it's all good. Welcome. How are you? I'm not going to tell you to leave, like, because that just would not be cool whatsoever. Anyhow, what was I saying? Rules. Okay, chat. Keep things apolitical. Be nice to one another. Same thing if you're going to like ask questions of me and things like that. We'll just try not to talk about heated real world topics if at all possible. It just never ever ends well. Hi, Jeremy. How are you? That's that. Now, for what I think that this live stream thing will become will be that ideally I'd like to every month after a video is done have a live stream like a day or two afterwards, and so we can kind of talk and discuss about the video. I think it'd be a good kind of like cornerstone for these type things, so we know what we're kind of getting in for. Unfortunately, let me know if that's a good idea in chat. Unfortunately, this month, the video has not yet been out. It should be out Tuesday, hopefully. In fact, it can be no later than Tuesday, because I'm going away to Sweden on the 3rd, and I won't be able to do as much work as I can. So this first live stream is a bit of an anomaly. So I was thinking about just doing like a Q&A or something. So ask me some questions, and I will answer them. So yeah, fire away. Let me see what you got. Oh, and is there lag? Like, I know the quality is potato, but is there lag, or am I juttery? And is the audio okay as well? I suppose that's the main thing. Oh, no one in chat. Oh no, am I alive? Am I still here? Yeah, video's not so good. Some glitches, but probably on my end. You're alive! Thanks. There seems to be a bit of a lag on my end, for sure. There's definitely a bit of a lag on my end. All right, so expect lots of dead air here, folks. Yeah, the video is the built-in webcam on my computer, and it is a total potato. It's no good. But so yeah, leave me some questions, or let me know how you're getting on as well. Tell me stories. Yeah, potato quality will be a problem for all of us. A good username, by the way, the Chugs Boson. I really like it. What's my favorite Pokemon? All right, we're starting off with the hard questions. I am, because of playing the games when I was a kid, and having an affinity for color red, as you can kind of see in Artifactian, it's totally Charmander. Always start with Charmander when playing those games, and he was just cool, like an on fire lizard thing. Like, it's amazing, and his evolutions were awesome. So Charmander for sure. What else we got here? Got to put the blackberry cobbler in the oven. Okay. What's my least favorite Pokemon? Oh, that sword thing. I don't know what generation it's from. It was in Pokemon Emerald or something? That Honorary or something? That was terrible. Blastoise is great. Blastoise is great. You know, I'm inclined to nearly take back Charmander, but the red swings it for me, man. If I could, for my LARP, okay, hang on, give me a second to read here. For my LARP organization, we have a sci-fi game set in the galaxy, and we're using videos to help create. Oh, cool! All right, I'm glad that my videos are coming useful there. Coming useful for LARP. That's crazy. That's brilliant. If you could make any changes to English, what would you make? That comes from Caleb Riley. I think I did this in the Q&A before. One of the main changes I would make immediately is to have a proper second person plural in English, because I'm constantly running into this with posting to you guys on Patreon. Like, I don't want to say y'all, like, hope y'all enjoy it. I'm reluctant to say that because that's not my accent. I'm just stealing it from Southern American, I think, is the dialect. And you all sounds very kind of formal. I hope you all like it. I don't know. I don't talk like that. And I would say things like yiz or ye, which is very Irish, and that wouldn't translate very well. So there's a big hole in the market there for a second person plural, and I just wish English had it. Honage is not cool. Well, maybe he is in the anime, but like, or manga or whatever it's called. But it's just sword like. it's weird. Ampharos is cool. My least favorite is that Lick-a-Lily thing, the pink with the big thumb. Yeah. Did my washing machine finish? Comes from Wandering Randomer. It did. Do you know what? You know what's really interesting? So the washing machine says that it'll last for an hour, like on the digital readout. and it was put on at 6:30, and it finished at like 8:10. So like, I don't know what to make it. I'm very, very disgruntled with my washing machine that it can't tell the time correctly. And it's not like an editing software or something where, it bases time remaining off of what it's doing at that current moment. Like, it's a washing machine. It knows its entire cycle in advance. But it's just like, time, it means nothing to me. You don't need to live stream. I will just spin to my heart's content. It is terrible. Asmodian, hi Asmodian _ of Artifexian podcast highlights fame. How are you? They write use. They have a use. Yeah, use would work too. But I don't know if Americans would get use. I think they'd be all like, you're talking silly English there. I get enough Americans giving out to me about the way I pronounce teat that I'm reluctant to use anything that's kind of vernacular on my end because people are just going to be like, he can't speak English correctly. What else? You can have y'all. I gift it to you. We use it all the time. Yeah, but it's really disingenuous of y'all. It's pretty. Y'all is amazing, right? I want to use y'all. I want to use y'all in everyday life, but like, it's just, I think I'd need to go over to Southern America for a bit and like become a card carrying plastic Southern American person before I could do that. Shiny on Edge is wicked awesome. I don't know, man. Daylight savings. JJ, daylight savings. It's awful. I hear apparently the EU are saying that they're going to kill daylight savings time by 2020, 2022, something like that. I can't remember the exact date. And I hope they do, because it causes chaos. And like, particularly with today, I didn't know what was going on. Like, and then having to, my time zone is changing, and then be like, how is this changing relative to the rest of the world? Who is or isn't in daylight savings time? It just makes planning an absolute nightmare. And it's just a waste of time for that extra little bit of daylight or whatever. It's nonsense. Have I watched any new series on Netflix or Hulu? What's the last thing I watched? Oh, I watched this thing by the makers, by the people who made The Last Airbender. It's like a medieval fantasy thing. What was that called? I can't remember. Let me know in chat if you know it. I thought it was good. It wasn't as good as The Last Airbender, but I thought it was cool. I'm mad into my Survivor at the moment. I'm watching an awful lot of Survivor. I just finished season 4 yesterday, and I really dig that. What else? Oh, I need to catch up on Discovery tonight. Looking forward to that. Although I have kind of mixed feelings about Star Trek Discovery as a whole. But I want to finish it out because I'm a dude who likes Trek. I do love me some Trek. No one speaks English. No one does speak English correctly. I would argue that certain Irish people, myself included, speak English less correctly than everyone else. What are you going to do in Sweden? Where in Sweden are you going? So one of my best friends moved over to Sweden last year, I think, to do a master's there. He's doing a master's in composition. He's a classical musician, clarinetist, and he asked us to come over, and I was like, yeah, sure. It's a great excuse for a little holiday, get to meet up with him and things like that. So we're going to Stockholm, myself and the captain. The captain, by the way, for anyone who isn't a listener of the podcast, is the moniker I give my girlfriend, just for anonymity. So if I say the captain, that's what that means. So we're heading over there for a few days to see them, and it should be pretty cool. Although I suspect I won't be able to really have a holiday because I'll have to edit the podcast a little bit whilst there. So that's why we're off to Sweden. I can't wait. I've never been to Sweden before, and I get to bring home some Swedish money from my money collection. So I'm super happy about that. What is the best accent to swear in your opinion? I wouldn't say accent. I'd say language, and that would be German. And you don't even need to swear. This is kind of a cliche. You don't even need to swear. You just need to speak German, and it sounds like you're swearing. And I say this as someone who's half German, so I feel like I can take the mickey out of us. Mini Rop says 2021 for daylight saving time. could do it being right now, but you know, what can you do? Again, Sweden, Stockholm. Stockholm, by the way, from Google Maps, looks like a crazy city. It's just a whole bunch of islands. Like I'm aware that cities can have islands in them, but usually it's like 4 or 5. But Stockholm looks like someone turned the fractal setting up into a procedural generator thing up to like 20, and just these little blobs everywhere. It's crazy. I can't wait. Also, crashing on my head. No, whoops! Something crashed on my head. No audio, no video. Jacob, it was great having you. We have 2. Oh, I'm from the East Midlands in the UK, and we have our own pronoun set, including yorn for second person possessive, and thyssen for second and third person reflexive. What? Who? Caleb, what is this? Can you give me a demo sentence here? As in, that's yorn couch. Madness. Language is cool, folks. The show is the Dragon Prince, Caleb. Yes, it is the Dragon Prince. I thought it was quite cool, as far as I've watched, anyways. What is the idea of video we're most looking forward to getting to making? I can reveal some secrets here. Actually, that's a good idea. The next video I'm super looking forward to, because it's I was going to ask when it came to the voting that we do a vote on the following video, not the next video, because the next video is a collab. I want it to be, hopefully anyways, a collab with Biblaridian. And what we've been kind of working on is he's going to take the information I've outlined in tense aspect and mood, tense aspect, mood, and mood, the 2 mood videos, and make a system based off that. So whereas my videos were very much like demonstrating the linguistic processes, he's going to be doing a very creative thing. And the whole video is nearly going to be him. And I think he's an absolute like savant when it comes to conlanging. Just listening to him like on Skype, listening to him talk, he's just a genius is a bit strong, but he's a savant at this. And I can't wait to just give him the platform and let him go. And yeah, it's going to be great. And I think he's come up with a really cool little system. Particularly, there's one thing he does with regards to how verbs work that both of us don't think happen in NatLangs. Like the thing is a thing that happens in NatLangs, just not where it happens. So I'm super looking forward to that. And in general, also, I'm kind of always looking forward to the next video. Like once it comes to the vote, and I'm like, here's video A or B, and I see what you want, I'm just stoked to make that video. Like I really am. I'm one of those kind of like naively happy people who's just always like, yeah, man, I'm making this video. It's great. Let me see, where are we now? And show Dragon Prince. Or Stockholm is a really nice city. Enjoy. I hope it is. Highly recommend Herman's Grill in Stockholm. Very affordable vegetarian buffet. Vegetarian, nice one. Apparently, there's a nice island in. Speaking of all the islands in Stockholm, that the locals run around in, and it's about a 10K loop, which is 6 miles for the US people here. And I think I might try and bring some running gear and maybe go for a quick run. That'd be fun to go exercise in a different country. Any world building thoughts on currency? Let me think. I've heard that in Harry Potter there is a currency system. Now I don't know where I read this or who told me this, so this could be entirely apocryphal. But there's a currency system. Apparently there is like named denominations of money, and I can't decide whether or not it's brilliant or terrible, because these denominations don't split evenly with one another, right? So like, for example, it'd be like, say the base unit is 1, the next unit up is say 7, and then 13. So nothing kind of really divides nicely. That's possibly a bad example, was just off the top of my head. And it's either terrible because it's like, well, that's not how we do money, or it's brilliant in that it's just like, oftentimes systems that we set up as humans or wizards tend to be a bit terrible. When you have like parliaments, houses of parliament with like even members, that's a terrible system because it like invites a deadlock. So oftentimes these are terrible systems, and terribleness gets manifested in the world. And so, yeah, it's either a brilliant system or a terrible system. In terms of like, I don't know, what do I like? What do I really like on money? I really like the notion of polymer money as a thing, and I really like the notion of scaling bills, like paper bills, to their value. This is probably wrong as well because I haven't researched any of this, but I think the Australian money, the Australian dollars, there's some sort of mathematical relationship between the different sizes of them that has relevance to the denomination, which, if that's true, if I remember that correctly, that just fills me with great joy because I like my maths. And it's really cool. Yeah. All right. Have you decided a hotel? No, we're staying with our mates in Stockholm. So it's a cheap trip, which is part of the reason why I'm going, because I can't just afford to take holidays the whole shebang. East Midlands English is a bit weird. You don't say. Accent isn't super strong, but pretty odd dialect. That's mad. I up me duck is something that people say unironically, or a up me duck. What's Caleb? What is a city in East Midlands that I might know? Is there any big cities like because isn't Manchester and Liverpool like mid UK? But I'm trying to think what is over east. Newcastle's way more north. I don't know. My English geography isn't that good. Do you speak any German dialects? No, the German I speak is one, terrible, and two, it's Hochdeutsch. So it's like kind of the standard sort of German. My family comes from an area called Nordrhein-Westfalen, and I think they speak the dialect in Nordrhein-Westfalen is pretty close to standard German. It's nothing like what you get in like Bayern and things like that. So I just speak plain bog ordinary German, but do it poorly. I bought a book about East Midlands slang since I was wondering. Oh, cool. Yeah. So the Wandering Randomer says the Harry Potter currency just seems to be random, and that's a joke. For sure. I think I'm probably reading into it a bit too much, but I think the point still holds there that it's like a bad world builder might create something too perfect, and a better world builder will make something that's like flawed. And then one could argue that a terrible world builder just makes up stuff and it lets it all be to chance. So I don't know where I stand. I just think it's interesting. Asmodean _ it's 29 bronze knuts to 1 silver sickle and 17 silver sickles in a gold galleon. Go on, J.K. Rowling. And then Asmodean follows up with, which is just terrible. You guys can see the chat. If I'm reading, do I need to read the chat to you? I probably don't. I just need to read it to myself. There's a video that explains the joke. Derby, Nottingham, and Leicester. Okay. I believe I was somewhere near Leicester before. I visited an ex-girlfriend's family, I think near Leicester. It's a nice neck of the woods. Very, very beautiful. Very kind of, it was quite rural where we were, so it looked very Shire-esque. I really liked it. The old shilling. Okay. Wait, what? Wandering Randomer, what are you referring to? What's Cornwall, Devon, and Somerset? East Midlands? No, that's down the south. Oh, I see. And the rest is that's fair. Yeah, I know the Cornwall, Devon, Somerset, Essex. I have family in Essex, so I know that. And I know roughly some cities. York, I know York because I was in York before. York's another stunning place. We tied. Maybe the Drew Hawthorne writes. Maybe the currency should be tied to the calendar somehow. Could that even work? Why would you do this? I don't know. That's interesting. It's just as bad as the imperial system. And speaking of politically heated things, imperial units versus metric units. I run into this all the time, and it drives me daft. And it's not even that I'm just because I use metric, I think I'm superior or anything, or I think it's a superior system. It's more just like I kind of wish we were in a world where everyone just adopted the same thing so we could communicate well, be it whichever system that is. And I do a lot of running. Again, I don't know if people listen to the podcast, but in the podcast I've talked before about I've talked a lot about my running, and I try to develop training plans to get better at it. And you do any sort of looking on the internet for running, and people will invariably conflate all the units at once. So you'll hear things like, make sure you do a 6 mile run at 4.5 minutes per kilometer. And you're like, what? Even like it's so broken, and I have to spend so much time like converting things to the right thing. And then especially in the running community as well, there's this in Ireland as well where we use metric. They do not want to let go of miles, imperial miles, because miles are bigger, so it's easier. So like, it's easier to run 1 mile than it is to run 1.6 kilometers, or like it's easier to run 6 miles than it is to run 10 kilometers. Small numbers are easier, and it just drives me nuts. Again, that's not to say I hate the American imperial system or the imperial system, full stop. I don't really care. I just wish we had the same thing where we could all talk to one another. What else? Jeremy Sheets writes, oops. Cool. I hate it. I'm a scientist and I use metric where I can. Yeah, in a scientific setting, then I think it has to be. Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be. Well, hang on. Things like Kelvin, are they a metric thing, or do they exist out of that paradigm? They must be. Well, no, it's not. It's not a degree. I don't know. But yes, in a scientific setting, it would be strange to be all like, light travels X distance, X number of yards in X number of seconds. Like that. That would be terrible. Money for. Oh, it's so much currency stuff. Drew writes, haha, that's hilarious. As a science major in the US, I feel your angst about units so strongly. Yep. There's a bread talk going on here. Anyone else lose video? Oh no. Is video gone? Oh. Yes, that's Asmodian underscore. Yes, SI. I thought there was a difference between SI and metric, and then so obviously sciencey folks should use SI. Video is still here, and I am back all at once. I am a superposition of streams. Brilliant. So what else? Now we're going to get like 10 minutes of the video's fine. The currency thing, just back on the currency thing. Ever since I started this collection, it's brilliant. It is so cool. I have lots and lots of small denomination of notes from all around the world. And my podcasting co-host is bringing me some Argentinian money very soon. Like I said, I'm going to get to Sweden, and it's just so cool to see these little bits, like works of art from all around the world, and how different cultures choose to almost show their patriotism on these little bills. And there are these wonderful juxtaposition between function and art. Like they have to function as as money, so they have to like have all necessary security and all that sort of jazz. But they also, we've decided collectively, they also need to be like beautiful, and that's pretty cool. So yeah, and no one's asking, but I'm just going to put it out there. Favorite bill so far is the Hong Kong dollar. Maybe I can't remember what it's called, but it's this super colorful note, and I really enjoy it. It's very vibrant. A ton of foreign coins too. My favorite one right now are Norwegian coins. Yeah, I wanted. I think I have Norwegian coins. I think I have Norwegian coins actually. I chose not to have. Sorry, this is in. It's gone. Smart. I chose not to do coins because coins take up a lot more room, and notes are just more kind of slick in a way. And there's kind of more art on them with regards to colors and things like that. So they were kind of more thing. Leyland Saunders writes, "Yay, Bill!" Bill being my podcast co-host again. For those who don't listen to the podcast, we're recording tomorrow, by the way, and we're also going to do I hope to do an April Fool's podcast tomorrow, but it's kind of at the expense of my podcasting co-host Bill. So I need to check if he'll allow it, because it's kind of taking the mickey out of him. So that's another bit of secret stuff right there. I just sold my family's old coins. I remember, JJ Abrecht writes, "Damn, I just sold all my family's old coins." I remember when Ireland switched to the euro. So before that, we had pound or punt was our currency. And I remember, because obviously it's a currency in circulation, you have tons of it around. You have all the coins in the world around. And I remember thinking, I should hold on to this. And then just discarding that idea immediately and being all like, it's fine, whatever. Bring it into the bank, change it for real money. And I was like, why didn't I hold on? Why didn't I? That's so bad. I didn't know. I could have held on to notes. And the notes were, I seem to remember anyways, they were very kind of like zeitgeisty almost. Like there was, Ireland used to be very, I suppose still is in some ways, it used to be a very Catholic country. And that a lot of that was kind of baked onto notes as well. So it's kind of, that would have been a cool little like time capsule to have, but like alas, I suppose I could buy them on eBay or Amazon or something. I'm sure they'll be there, but I should have kept them as a kid. Some places have vertical banknotes. Do they? I don't think I have any vertical banknotes. I wonder what the use of that is. Why vertical? That seems strange. How do you feel about plastic banknotes? Yeah, so polymer banknotes for sure. Like banknotes you can't rip or that you can stick in the washing machine and they can be washed for all of 3 hours according to our washing machine. I think that's great. I think that's really cool. And I think it's a real bit of like techie, sciencey, like let's make this. How can we innovate on a banknote? And I really enjoy that. I like that someone built all the bridges on the euro banknotes. See, this is terrible because I am being someone who uses euro. I don't actually look at euro all that much. Do they all have bridges on them? Hold on, I have 2 notes here. Just give me a second. Sorry, I'm flicking with my light here. Sorry. Oh yeah. Look at that. You learn something new every day. Back to tying. It could be a division of time, could match the currency, so some sort of standardized wage measuring system. Owen, explain that a bit more. I still don't understand how you would tie. Could be division of currency, could match. Could be just using the same base. Yeah. You could use the same base. Base 12 for the win, obviously. Although I've heard, I think, was it one of you folks in the Discord sent me a link to this person who's like a base 6 evangelicus. I think it was in the Discord. And I remember some of you making, yes, definitely was in this Discord. I remember some of you making a really strong argument for base 6 to the point where it's kind of like, should I jump ship? And I was like, nah, tradition, man, stick with base 12. That's how you do these things. When you're wrong, you stick with the thing you're wrong at, human nature. Yeah, so I remember a bar when I was on holiday where I was young, where they taped to the wall dozens of notes from many countries. It was beautiful. That's a thing in pubs that happens a couple of times, sometimes here. I've seen that before. I've seen one in Scotland as well. It was a really cool bar. I too, Chugs Boson, would like to know what country has vertical banknotes. It's interesting. Apparently Bermuda, Cape Verde, Switzerland? Hang on. Hold on, folks. Hold on. Switzerland. Wait a minute. Switzerland? I definitely have Swiss money. This can't be vertical. Sorry, amuse yourselves here for a second, folks. Banknote. Oh, okay. Hang on. Yeah, okay. So I'll hold it up for you guys there. I both agree and disagree with the assertion that Switzerland has a vertical banknote. And actually, this makes me appreciate the note even further. So if you can see that, the number here, obviously that's meant to be like that, and the writing has instances of writing being horizontal, and quite ingeniously, the hands here, they look decent in this position, and they also look decent in this position, which I think is pretty cool. I think that's pretty interesting. So I think this is a I think this, you could make an argument for both ways. I suppose you'd have to check predominantly what's the predominant orientation of the text. But yeah, Swiss. Give me a second here. Oh no. Okay, I'll just get rid of that. Okay, where were we? Something was built in the Conlang Critic. Were they the person who the base 6? We don't like them, do we? A lot of people asserted that they were not a very good creator. I didn't check them out. The 2018 Canadian $10 bill features a portrait of Canadian civil rights pioneer Viola Desmond is presented in vertical format. Interesting. I have yet to get Canadian money. Someone from the podcast sent me. Okay, hi. Let me get the thing. Hold on, I'm going to put this down for a second. Ugh. So someone sent. Forgive me if you are in the chat here. I don't have your name to hand. Canadian Tire money, which apparently is. Apparently in Canada, this is like a super, like everyone has these things around. They're essentially vouchers for the Canadian version of Walmart, which I think is cool. So my collection contains both money, real money, and not so real money, which I think is pretty badass. That's pretty cool. I thought I'd looked at Swiss currency before. Apparently I thought I looked at Swiss currency before, considering I have it in my collection, but apparently not. All to be presented this way. Oh, cool! The Northern Irish notes. I suppose for people in outside of Great Britain and Ireland, or rather just outside of Great Britain, they all use the sterling, both the pound sterling, but it's issued by different banks, so you'll find different looking sterling notes if you're in Scotland, England, and Northern Ireland. I don't know what the jazz is with Wales, but I'm assuming it must be something similar. Sumerian all the way up with base 60. Sumerian did have base 60. Bank of Ulster is issuing ones. Controversial figure, so I've heard it's a controversial figure. So with regards to the vertical thing, does anyone have any speculation as to why people do vertical? Like, is it just kind of like, a cool graphic design sort of choice, or is there a functional element to that? Because I can't imagine if it would be better than horizontal notes. I don't know. Has anyone sent you one of those goofy $2 American bills? Well, let us take a look inside the album of wonder. They have indeed $2 American, and a bit of lore here for people again who don't listen to podcasts. Apparently, so I've been told by Americans, that the picture on the back here is not accurate. So this is, forgive me, I'm going to get this wrong, but I think this is them signing in the Constitution, maybe. And apparently there is a real life picture of this, and it's different than what's on the back. There's people missing or in the wrong place or some jazz like that. So which I find hilarious, because the US is quite a hyper patriotic place, and it's mad that they would let that fly. Like, I'd imagine it'd be kind of like, burn all them $2 notes, start again, you must get it correct. So I have a $1 and a $2. They're pointless, but they are really neat. Yeah, they most definitely are pointless. I'd argue that your $1 notes are kind of pointless as well. Not to stir controversy here, but like, it seems so alien to me from having coins as ones to having notes. You just have tons of notes. Now, I see an argument for like 20 euro coins take up an awful lot more room than 20 $1 things. But it just, I don't know. As a European, it kind of breaks my brain a little bit. It also kind of breaks my brain that your notes are so very similar in the US. So you can't just kind of like open a wallet and then pick the orange one, or the pink one. So, but again, I'm just probably Eurocentric bias there. I'd imagine when you're American and use American money, it's absolutely fine. I guess people prefer panorama design. Yeah, I suppose that's the argument against vertical video. People are just like, I want video to be, panorama. Our eyes are like that. The Chunks boson says they're signing the Declaration of Independence on the back there. It says it on the bottom. Yup, there we go. That's the first idiotic mistake of this best live stream. Some interaction. Oh, that's very interesting. So some interactions with vending machines, vertical bill orientation might be preferred. That's pretty cool. That's very cool. The link to the picture is too big for 200 characters, chat. Okay, so Leyland Saunders writes, hyper patriotic, yes, but we are terrible at history and art, so that's how it happens. I realize you're probably joking, but a lot of people give America a lot of shtick for kind of being lacking of culture compared to like the depth of culture that Europeans have. And obviously there's an argument that Americans are just extensions of Europeans, but I've always fought back against a lot because so much about art in the States that is wonderful, like rap, for example, is an American art form that invented in the States. Jazz is an American art form, and there's so many art forms that people in Europe go, yeah, but that's not, it's not real culture. I think that's just terrible. And I think there's so much wonderful art that happens in the States. Victory, welcome to the strangeness of America. Yeah, I talked on the podcast before. I was over in LA in November, PatronCon, and I talked about a couple of things I found really odd in the States from a European perspective that I couldn't wrap my head around. And the main thing was that it was winter, and I was in California. I was in LA. It was winter, and it was like 27 degrees Celsius outside, and I was like, what even? Like, just give up. Like, this it goes from being like -1 here, and then you just fly for 11 hours, and you're like 27 degrees in November. It's crazy. The time has come. It's 1 in the future. I'm 1 hour in the future. Good night, people. Yeah, it's a late one. I need to try and figure out what the most optimal time to do this. I may even need to maybe do 2 live streams for people on different sides of the planet, because like the incentive is on me to obviously broadcast at a time that suits Americans, because most of the viewership is in America. But I don't want to shun people who live in like Australia and over other neck of the woods. So mini wrap. Good night. Take care. I will see you in comments in the Discord next time. You should hear Americans, Drew Hawthorne, you should hear Americans on the controversy of discontinuing pennies. So assuming that Americans don't want to discontinue pennies. Like, CGP Gray had a video on this, didn't he? The pennies need to go. We got rid of our pennies. We have no pennies here in Ireland, because they were these little dinky little things, the euro penny, or the euro cent rather, and they were just terrible. They were awful. Like, they were fodder for being lost down the couch. That's all they were good for. Jeremy, we are young compared to the other world. You are, but I don't think the youth of the American continent or of America means that one should automatically be like, you are a cultureless place. And again, there are a lot of people, I know personally some people who take that opinion. And I think it's completely wrong. It's 100% wrong. And then, of course, we can name, poets and writers and painters galore from the States, that are amazing, that people just kind of conveniently sweep under the rug. Like, Walt Whitman and things like that, you know. Yes, discontinue the heck out of pennies. Need some exclamation marks there. They literally just cost. They do cost. The pennies do cost more. They do. There's no. Oh, that's interesting. The Chugs boson. Get rid of them both. There's no reason to still have 2 decimal places in our currency. Can I propose something? Maybe, given that we are continuously moving away from physical money, maybe there's reason to have more than 2 decimal places, because you're not tied to a physical thing. Now, whether or not the accuracy you gain with an extra decimal place or 2 is worth anything, I don't know. But yeah, I think we can have more accuracy, not less, given that we're moving away from it. I don't think anyone is going to be on the side of keeping the pennies, to be fair. Like, I think that's terrible. Yeah, we round to the nearest 5 as well here, as far as I'm aware. To be right, I have. Yeah, I mean, like, as well as what you know, you joke, but like 51 point and then all the zeros 1 is more accurate than 51, or is more nuanced. So yeah. Bill, hi Bill, everyone. Bill McGrath, Artifacting podcast co-host in the chat. How are you? Have you been here long, Bill? Have you heard my my divulging my plans tomorrow for our April Fool's Day joke? You have now, anyways. Bitcoin does have a ton of decimal places. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. How's Bitcoin doing, by the way? Because it blew up there last year. And then I loosely know someone who had a lot of money invested in Bitcoin, and they seem to be treating it. They seem to be looking at all the signs of an impending bubble bursting and going, not a bubble. And it's weird because I feel like we've lived through some pretty monumental bubbles, especially this person who was slightly older than me, over time. And I looked at it and I was kind of like, clearly, like, the graph of it's going whoop, and you're like, yeah, it's going to keep going up this forever. No, it's not. It's going to go. And I feel sad for him because he did lose a lot of money. I don't think Bitcoin recovered from 2 years. That's when I joined. Okay. Well, we need to talk, Bill. We need to talk tomorrow. We got a thing coming. It's like 4,000 per Bitcoin. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's like thousands per Bitcoin. Did anyone ever see the Vlogbrothers video where someone had gifted one of the Vlogbrothers, like a Bitcoin back in the day, where Bitcoin was like, I don't know, like 100 quid or something. And they kind of dismissed, at the time, they dismissed it, be like, oh yeah, that's cool. And it kind of like went unnoticed for a bit. And then I think it was John or whatever was like, I'm pretty sure we got given a Bitcoin. And this was like at the height of the bubble prepping to burst, and they did a video about where they went back through all the old emails and had to like reinvigorate all the old email accounts that like weren't useful anymore, and they found that they had a Bitcoin in there, which was, I think it was like 15 grand or something in it, which is like, boy, crazy stuff. Yeah, is Bitcoin stable? Interesting. I considered putting something into Bitcoin, but then I was kind of like, and like yourself, Chokes goes on. I was like, I won't be very much at all. I'm not going to, stick that into the Bitcoin thing. But then I was kind of like, I don't know anything about investing in currencies, and like, I wouldn't just take a 50 quid note or whatever and throw it away. And so then why would I do that? So I was just like, no, best not. Fine. Yeah. Now, to be fair though, I don't want to say the Vlogbrothers are absolutely amazing. But it's when one is that size and one has that many entrepreneurial ventures on the go, I think 15K is like, it's not as mind-blowingly large it is for like, you know, people like us. And plus, I would imagine they got to write off a whole bunch against taxes, because isn't there a thing in the States where if you give to a charity or something, you get a whole lot of stuff back tax-wise. So yeah, it is crazy they did it, but it's not as crazy as like your regular average Joe being all like, "Oh, let me just give you 15 grand," you know, like take my deposit for a house. It's okay. I suppose once the hype goes with Bitcoin, it's going to level out. Like, because I imagine you have an awful lot of people like myself who just were like, "I'm going to hop on this Bitcoin train now because it's kind of trending." So yeah, yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a tax write-off against it, because I remember there's a debate about. He says, "Don't get political." Now I'm about to talk about American tax systems, which is kind of invariably tied to politics. But I remember there being a debate about whether charity needs to be incentivized through, you know, financial reward, and you know, shouldn't people just give to charity anyways, as opposed to only given because they get a smaller tax bill and things like that. But I'm not American, so I have no idea. But I can't believe the amount of currency talk here. Well, how did this all start? Like, I thought, like, oh yeah, someone asked about currency. I thought it would be like a 2-minute thing. It's crazy stuff. Craig's and his money to Craig. I mean, it's end up getting used to that. Craig. Yes, that's fair. There is, obviously, but again, with any sort of like system that a government sets up, in regards to that, there's always going to be some way that someone will find a way around it. Yeah. The logic is that charities provide social services the government should otherwise have to pay for. Huh. Wow. That's mad to think of the government passing on. Again, no, not going to talk about politics. Not talking about politics. Bold, Edgar, no politics. We need a new topic. We need a new topic in the chats, Lawrence and Chugs. Oh Lord. So let me ask you folks a question in the chat. What are y'all up to? What's been going on at the weekend? Tell me an interesting fact. Like you're patrons, right? So and we kind of do this a little bit on Discord, but sure, we may as well do it now as well. You get like a sort of direct hotline to me and stuff, but by virtue of that, I also get a direct hotline to you, so it's my chance to learn about people and things like that. So let me know what you're up to, what you're doing, and it can be world building, conlang, anything related. Yeah, we were bordering on dangerous territory here. Yeah, we were. We pulled it back at the end. We're good. Agricultural world building, working on a D&D Calvin world building too. Oh, cool. I can't read your username, but you know who you are. Congratulations. What are you, JJ? What are you doing with agricultural world building? And Jeremy, let me know if you don't want to divulge any information here. That's fine. But it might be like a starting off point. Oh, and also heads up, I should have said this at the start. I'm going to make these live streams maybe about an hour because I do ostensibly need to spend time with the captain at the weekend, and I want to watch Trek before bedtime. So if that's okay with everyone, maybe in about 15, we'll leave this one and we'll reconvene at a later time. So let me know if that's okay. Oh yeah, what we got here? I would. In fact, the man with the most kills as a sniper who was Canadian. I heard that before. I've definitely heard that before somewhere. Yeah. No problems. Person with the username I can't read out. I see. This is the danger with usernames sometimes, right? When they're really long and you have to like go in real close to read them, you end up sounding them out, and then by the time you get to the end of it, you've said a terrible thing that you don't want to have said, and that looks like usernames. Now, I'm not saying you're being deceitful, but I bet you it's a silly thing, and I don't want to be on the receiving end of a silly thing, or it's just keyboard gobbledygook. I don't know. Internet usernames, love them to bits. Well, I've been trying to name countries coming up with local and naming countries. There's an interesting map somewhere floating around online where it's the names of all the what the how do I say it? What the names of all the countries in their native tongue. So like, Russia in Russian, say, what they mean in English. So you'll get things like, I know that Russia is called the Red Bear, say, for example. Like, that's definitely not it, but just say, for example. It's an interesting little map, and it's kind of cool to go and look through these things and be all like, wow, this is... It just, I don't know, it's a different vibe than we usually get when looking at the countries of the world on a map. It would be really interesting. I don't have links to this, so I'm sorry, but it should be easy to find. Jeremy's about to go see. The captain is catching on. I like it. No captain revealed. No. That's no. I don't want to do that. I have made the choice. I mean, if she wants to do it, that's absolutely fine. But I've made the choice to present myself publicly, and she is not. So I'm not about to force that on someone. Because you guys are really cool, right? But there is definitely an anxiety to presenting myself publicly, and I definitely felt that anxiety at the very, very start. And I don't, and it's fine now, but I wouldn't want to force on anyone. I'm mostly reading 100-page lecture scripts on the domestication of actual plants and the spread through the world instead of writing my patent. I love that. I'm skiving off from my university thesis to read academic books on an academic topic. Like, I'm not skiving off from my thesis to go play Fortnite or something. No. I'm going to go procrastinate with some scientific literature. I like it. JJ, my man. Got paid and used money to buy finally buy, I'm assuming, a vacuum. That's very good. Caleb, we don't have a vacuum cleaner here, or a Hoover, as is the correct name for it. I joke. But we sweep and stuff, and it kind of drives me a little bit daft. We have a cat. I foster cats as a kind of little thing. One of my hobbies, and it would be so nice to have a Hoover to just like, Hoover it all up. But no, dustpan it is. So congratulations on your purchase of a vacuum. May it work better than a washing machine. It was pushing that. It was button mashing. On the topic of world building, if Bill's still in the chat, this is relevant to Bill. I'm half thinking about doing. Don't hold me to this, but I'm half thinking about doing a little bit of world building for the podcast. The way it works, or it has come to work over the past while, is that has some worlds on the go, and he writes a little bit of in-universe stuff every month, and we read it out and we talk about why certain things were made, decisions were made, and the sort of the creative process behind it. And I was kind of thinking about now that I have a live stream, these live streams, and I can use that as a sort of feedback mechanism for the videos. I can cut that bit in the podcast, and I was thinking about maybe doing some world building, coming up with a new setting. And as is so often the case, like, I use world building. Like, I don't write novels, I don't make games, I don't make D&D settings, I don't do any of that. I kind of use world building as a way of learning about the world, because it's fierce boring for me to just sit down and read about agriculture, right? If I don't think in the back of my head, like, I could use this information to like write a story someday. And that kind of keeps me going through all the mundane sort of stuff. So I've been thinking increasingly more these days about how I feel like I'm letting the team down by not being a very good Irish person in terms of knowing the language and knowing a lot about the culture. Like, I know way more about American culture than I do about Irish culture. So I was like, I might try and come up with a setting that's essentially me remixing Ireland and using it as an excuse to talk about a whole load of Irish history and the way Ireland was set up, like back in the medieval ages. And I'm thinking about like making it like a fantasy, like, because I do so much hard science stuff on the YouTube channel. I'm thinking about making it a full-on fantasy setting with like, with like floating islands and dragons and flying pirate ships, because I've a soft spot for flying pirate ships. But doing that in and around Irish culture and using what Ireland was like back in the day to kind of fuel that. Again, don't hold me to that at all. But that might be a cool thing to do. So what else we got? I don't know. I think that's it. 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 Now, which is a okay, what are we referring to in the chat here? Hold on. Oh yes, we're back. Governments, people, governments. I'm sorry, I let us down this road. Although world building government stuff is fine as long as we're just all cool about it. Snow Crash is an amazing. If you're Asmo, if you're referring to the book, Snow Crash is amazing. Or Shooting Notice because you listen to the podcast. Yeah, I love that book. Hi, Mel. I was like, hi, Mel. Are you ever going to resurrect? Oh, that's a very good question. Are you ever going to resurrect your conlang Oa? So Oa, for the most part, was kind of when the very first video I did with Zidnaf about Oa, I had a notion in my head to make it a language, and to every time I did a video present more on it. But then within about 2 or 3 days of that happening, I kind of realized, oh, that's a really bad idea, because my sort of love in terms of the content I make is not necessarily making my own stuff, but rather investigating something, putting that information out there and watching other people do it. So I quickly abandoned the idea of OA being a language, and I use it as sort of if I can use it as a demonstrative tool to convey a thing that I'm talking about, I will use it. But so far, there's been very few occurrences to use it, because I found that using kind of weird English, like English words plus like a prefix and an affix to show agglutination or whatever, is way easier to parse than a whole bunch of made up words, right? Because if you use English with add-ons, people don't need to parse the English. They can just parse the features and how they relate to the things that they know. Whereas if you have a whole bunch of words in OA, you need to parse the whole bunch of words, and you need to remember what they are across different examples, etc. And that can be a bit tedious and a bit tiresome. So I abandoned the idea of OA ever being language. It was kind of, after about 2 days of creation, it was only ever meant to be a demonstrative tool. Now, that said, I said earlier in the thing that Bibloridium was doing some work on Hence Aspect Mood System. He's essentially, his kind of creative constraints are the things I've said about OA so far. So he's kind of by default sort of resurrecting it. But again, it's only as a demonstrative tool. So, I'm not worried about if there's an inconsistency in OA, or if I say something that contradicts that video. It doesn't matter. The whole point is to try and convey information to you. And my own stuff, I want to keep largely private, or on the podcast, as the aforementioned case. Will Ireland have a big pointy stick in the middle? I don't understand that. Are there any pieces of software you think would be useful for world building conlang that you haven't seen? Oh, that I haven't seen? Oh, wow. Are there any pieces of software you think would be useful for world building conlang that you haven't seen? I mean, okay, so I would have said that I'm going to shamelessly plug another patron here, but it's worth plugging. World Anvil run a website that is kind of meant to act as a repository for all your world building stuff. It's particularly useful for people who are doing campaigns and things, because it's for doing D&D things, because it's orientated towards you guys an awful lot. Not solely, but an awful lot. In that there's like character sheets and there's like fact sheets on worlds, and it's pretty cool. That sort of like centralized, almost like a wiki type thing, I would have said was a program that was much needed, because the kind of DIY hacky solutions I tried to pass with changes, like you're simulating evolution in NatLangs, simulating evolution in your conlang, and you're doing things like sound changes. So that would be like, a word dar. Say you have a word dar and the word trebar, right? And you say that the rule is that those were like the proto-lang words, and as the language evolved, all end sounds get dropped. So you have like da and treba, and you could do many of these rules, compound them together to take a proto-lang and to turn it into a new language. There are tools on the internet that let you like describe those rules, like if X sound is in this location, erase or replace with whatever, the best one, I think, is Mark Rosenfelder's one over on his website, zombis.com, I think. But it's still really nice if someone were to just create a nice, slick UI where you don't have to learn like fancy code or fancy nomenclature or anything. You just feed in the thing and it all does it behind the scenes. That would be class. But I don't think anyone would do that really, because it's not really worth the effort. Like, how many people is this going to affect? Like, maybe in the whole world, maybe 10,000. How many people are in the Conlang subreddit? So it's not that really worth it. The Spire, the big stick in the middle, the Spire. I'm a big fan of the Spire in Dublin. It's a landmark in Dublin, and it's a big pointy metal stick. You can check it up, SPIRE. I think it's great, and everyone hates it because it's this bland minimalist sort of thing. But I think it's class because as a branding thing for Dublin, you can replace the L in Dublin with the Spire. So I think that works really well. And I'm a minimalist, and I really like minimal artworks. In fact, I think there's too much going on the damn Spire. There's like bits of effects down the bottom. No, just a single metal spike. Done. How Dublin? I think it is. That I haven't seen a good map editor that's made for it. I don't know what you're referring to. Google Sheets for your work. Yeah, it's not bad actually. I'm moving more and more to Google Sheets to do so. But again, my use case is a bit different because I spend very little time now doing world building. Most times, writing scripts, so it's slightly different. So yeah, listen, that is we're 20 past 9 at the moment, or about 18 past 9 in Ireland. I might call it there if it's okay with you guys. Get some trek in. And I will see you all next month, post video sometime. If you have any comments or criticisms or anything you think I could do better, apart from the potato quality of the video, I know that. We'll sort that out. Let me know in the sort of next few days or whatever. And yeah, have a great time, folks. Thank you for being here. And I will see y'all very soon. Now we need to figure out how to end this thing. Oh, here we go. Ready? Bye-bye!